You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are going to talk about some of the additions that Syracuse football has made on the offensive line over the past few days. Kam Pringle from South Carolina, a four-star tackle in the 2024 recruiting class. You got Zack Rice, a UNC guard who was a five-star recruit in the 2022 recruiting cycle. And you got TJ Ferguson from Florida State, a starting guard for their last year. And of course, you were the host, or you still are the host of Locked On Seminoles, so you are pretty familiar with TJ Ferguson. He did struggle last year. His Pro Football Focus numbers are not very good, ladies and gentlemen. They're not. I'm just telling you the facts. They're pretty bad. Why did he struggle, in your opinion?
I don't think he was coached that well. I don't think that he's got the right attitude. I mean, he's played two major programs and been very inconsistent despite having the size, despite having the athleticism, but it's more above the shoulder. It's not whether he can run somebody into the bench. It's whether he knows which guy to block. And that stuff towards the end of your career of college is not a good sign. So part of it, again, I don't think he's been coached that well at Florida State. Now at Alabama, that's a whole nother animal. I'm not worried about what Nick did. I guarantee you they had a good O-line coach. But Florida State, I don't think did. And I think he regressed. So elite talent, but with 1 year left, does he have the fire in the belly? I'll give you an example. Darrell Jackson's coming back for his last year at Florida State. He was lazy last year. He was their most dominant player in the spring. Sometimes it just happens. How do you know, though? So I need to see it. And just like with the other players that are coming in after spring, he gets no reps with that line. He gets no reps with the quarterback. That's tough. But at worst, he's a player that can compete for playing time. And Syracuse has an opportunity to use him maybe as a tight end and in short yardage or whatever. They'll find something. But I don't know if he's going to be a starter or a guy who sits the bench.
You mentioned tight end. You mentioned tight end. I just wanted to clarify. You mean that he lines up as an eligible receiver in goal line situations. He's that extra lineman. He's not going out to catch passes.
If he does, that means things have gone very bad for Syracuse.
Or that's just a trick play.
Well, I mean, there could be one of those. But consistently, we've got problems. So let's hope that's not the case. But no, unbalanced, things like that, goal line, if you want to use an extra lineman, he could be an interesting player. He's a good athlete. He has the physical stamina to be out there for a whole game. So if you put him in there for a few, I'm sure he'd be a beast. But again, it's the mental stuff. It's not the physical. Does he know the scheme? And without going through spring, that makes me a little leery.
Well, last year, someone did transfer to Syracuse along the offensive line, and that was Savion Washington from Colorado, and he fared out okay, despite him being a spring portal addition. So who knows? Maybe it does work out with a guy like TJ Ferguson, who did start 7 games for the Florida State Seminoles, although they were not very good last year, as we all know. They were pretty terrible. Normally, that's like a badge of honor. You started for Florida State. You're probably pretty good. They were terrible last year, fellas. They were awful. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I know. I covered them. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I just had to mention it. Kam Pringle. Let's move on to him. 2024 4-star recruit. He redshirted at South Carolina last season. How do you see him fitting in with Syracuse? Obviously, he didn't see the field a whole lot over at South Carolina.
He was a big-name recruit, a kid that only played like 8 snaps last year, redshirted, which is typical. I think it's just a case where he got impatient and wanted to go somewhere else he could compete for playing time. The SEC wanted him, and he's a lineman. That combination rarely goes out of style. It's got to be a kid that's a really bad guy for other teams not to want him, and I'm sure he had plenty of opportunities. So he has 4 years of eligibility. He'll probably play interior for the Cuse. There's a lot to work with. This is a big piece of clay. Is he going to play this year? He might be the more likely guy to be your extra tight end, to be honest. Because he's not necessarily, at least like Ferguson's a guy that he's played a lot. At least he's been through the wars. The other kid, I mean, I don't think he's played 10 snaps yet, literally. So if he's going to earn it, he's got to earn it in just fall camp. That's rough. If you see him play at the end of the year, that would be a good sign, A, that he's picked it up, and B, the coaches have understood how to motivate him and get him ready to play. So really talented, and he should be a multi-year starter at Syracuse.
Why not stick with South Carolina, in all honesty? Why not?
I'm guessing that he wanted to start. Like there's a thing, especially with the higher ranked kids, if they don't start their second year, they leave. By the way, it's a terrible idea. But I see it doesn't matter the position. Most kids just won't sit their second year. It's dumb, but that's another story.
I mean, maybe Syracuse gives him that opportunity to start right away, but is that going to be best for his development? I guess time will tell, right? And I don't think he is guaranteed to start, but I actually penciled him in as the starting left tackle. You mentioned, though, that he's more on the interior. How so?
I just think that his body would be best there. Now, he could play either because he's an athlete, but just the way he plays from seeing him in high school, I would love him at guard. If he plays tackle, that's fine. He's got the athleticism to play tackle, but there's a mentality with interior O-line that's kind of hard to explain. Guys that would rather snort than say hello to you, that kind of guy. I could see Kam kind of falling into that category.
Fair enough. Finally, let's talk about another offensive lineman here, Zack Rice. He was a former top offensive tackle in the country in the 2022 recruiting cycle. He committed to North Carolina. Of course, that means he was a 5-star recruit. But in 3 years, he has only played about 40 snaps on offense. His other playing time has mostly been on special teams. So, Brian, how come a guy like Zack Rice, a 5-star recruit in 2022, he's had 3 years, how come he has not been able to succeed so far?
I think there's two reasons. Number one, I think he's been banged up a little bit here and there, and it's just kind of been nagging. And B, I just think he was overrated out of high school. I never liked the way he moved. The length and all that, the size was there, but I just didn't like the way his body moved. I always thought he was overrated, but I didn't think he'd fall into this category. Injuries will get anybody. So now the only other question is, and I don't know Zach, does he have the kill in him? If you're going to be a lineman and you're going to play in the P4, you got to have some kill in you. You want to run guys over. 40 snaps, I'm guessing he doesn't have it. If he plays a meaningful role this year, I'll be surprised. That one I don't see working out. He's had 3 years at Carolina. I don't see it, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, if he does work out, how do you think Syracuse could be the school that maximizes his potential?
They got to figure out what gets him ticking. The motivation. Again, you got to want to smack people. Offensive line is not friendly. These are not the people you want to date your daughter necessarily, okay? He needs to show that. That's just reality. Football is not a lot of nice guys. Is he a nice guy? He's played 40 snaps. Maybe he is. I need to see him want to smack somebody. And, of course, got to be healthy.